They can't go down there. So you have to kind of yeah, it's still
steps, right by the stage. I'm right by the stage, right by the steps. Oh, that's perfect. Beautiful. I got it. Okay. That was a good idea. All right.
Yeah, recording with the band.
I got you, bud. I got you.
I got this. I'm recording. They said we're gonna go down there.
Yeah, see, follow the keyboard.
I didn't get them my phone because all my music's on my phone because
So the truck's going to be down. Okay? And everybody can stand on the stairs and go up the
Okay, is this it right here?
The truck's pulling up.
Alright. Okay.
So have everybody on the steps.
Everyone, please go to the stairs! Go to the stairs!
Yes, this is democracy. But we're still hungry. We're not going to Congress. We're not in the mayor's space. We're not in our representative space. Your representative sits at his job for about 180 days or less. Your representatives do the same. And your school kids that are in pre-K head start. Your governor
Wait for me! I know, wait.
They're doing that for us.
He's so helpful. Hopefully the cops are into him.
Yeah, exactly. I read those. How many people's in there? I read them. No, we didn't have any today. I was like looking at the kind of the 50 to make sure to leave that.
patient? Yeah, please stay patient, y'all.
The generator is broken, so please sit down, hydrate, everything will be all right. Can y'all hear me in the back? Can y'all hear me in the back? Can y'all hear me?
Thank you for your patience again. I think it's starting. Say we're letting it cool down. We're gonna get started.
We're gonna get started on the current megaphones that we have. We're gonna speak as loudly as possible. We're getting the generator up and running. Please have patience with us. We appreciate you for being here.
Woo!
Which is the loudest?
Here, do you guys want to
I like it because I look young.
Hey y'all, we need y'all to be silent. We're about to have a speaker up here. Please show respect. I know y'all hear that a lot at DSNC. It's annoying, but that's what we need y'all to do. So, suck it up.
Hi everybody. My name is Salihom Yosef and I'm a rising senior at DSSC Manoir High School. I just first want to open up by saying thank you to everyone who is here today. Your presence is greatly appreciated and I personally hope you gain a sense of knowledge and clarity from coming here today. So thank you so much. I just want to start off by bringing up why we are all here today. So while the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery instigated our protests and our anger, the systematic disregard and mistreatment and elimination of Black lives in this country is not new, and it has been happening for over 400 years. It's slavery, segregation, it's Jim Crow, redlining, it's lynching, it's police brutality, the list goes on. These issues and injustices that plague the Black community are intertwined but not interchangeable. With an oppressive police force that brutalizes Black people, healthcare disparities that kill people within our communities, educational inequities that keep Black students out of college, and a criminal justice system that seeks to incarcerate Black people by the masses. All of these oppressive systems cannot function without each other. They feed off of each other. When we dismantle one form of oppression and defund institutions that perpetuate this oppression, we are helping bring down another oppressive system that has put down Black people historically. A few days ago, I heard the story of Alua Toyin Salau, Toyin for short, and I didn't know how to feel. She was a Black female 19-year-old activist in Tallahassee, last seen protesting the murder of George Floyd on June 6th. And after writing and posting a series of tweets in which she shared that she had been sexually assaulted by a man who had offered her a lift and a place to stay, on Monday she was found dead in what has now been ruled a homicide. What happened to Toyin is tragic and horrific, and what happened to Toyin also represents a pattern. It's the regard for Black women, the same lack of regard that led to her passing. Within the Black community, there has been a collective lack of care for the safety and well-being of so many communities within our larger community. A lack of respect for our Black women, our Black LGBTQ+ community members, our Black disabled people, our Black people with mental health issues, our Black Afro Latinx members. So many people within our community that we fail to recognize, that we fail to uplift, and that needs to stop. The collective disregard and lack of respect for the intersectionality present within the Black community needs to stop. So when we march and when we protest, I urge all of you, including our non-Black allies, to think of the Black community and its vibrance, the intersecting identities within the Black community. Let's recognize the strength of Black women and Black LGBTQ+ people within our community and uplift our people. Because when we say Black Lives Matter, you are not solely talking about Black men. You are speaking on Black women, Black LGBTQ+ communities, Black disabled communities, and so many people that have their identities suppressed and voiced in silence, not only outside of the Black community, but within it. Ultimately, I encourage you to think about why you are here today and whose lives you are fighting for. If you are not for everybody within the Black community, you are only for you, and therefore you stand for nobody. Please remember that and remain mindful of that while you are protesting today. And lastly, please, please, please wear your sunscreen. I know y'all may think we don't burn, but we do. Thank you so much. We're also acknowledging every individual that was murdered
And please do not speak out of respect. Put it down now. It took 8 minutes and 46 seconds to kill George Floyd. Please inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale.
want to thank him for consistently elevating student voice. So can I please have Tate Anderson up here?
How you doing, DSST? All right, we're gonna try this chant. Honestly, this is my third time ever doing this DSST chant, so you guys gotta make sure you say it with me. Ready? DSS, DSS, what? DSS, DSST. All right, I think it worked. I'm gonna keep it brief. My name is Tay Anderson. I'm honored to represent you on the Denver School Board as the youngest African American ever to be elected. This month has really kind of been a lot of celebration. So real quick, protest work. The state capitol passed Senate Bill 217, which is the most comprehensive police reform bill in the state's history. Denver Public Schools proudly ended their contract with Denver Police Department. A community followed in your footsteps after you said, we're no longer going to be known as DSST Stapleton, we'll be known as DSST Montview, and this week, the Master Community Association announced they are ending the name Stapleton in that community for good. And we're just getting started. I don't know if you know this, but some of these young women that have been leading you today are going to the governor's mansion on Thursday to meet with the governor to start talking about how we can represent young people. And so as we send them forward to meet with Governor Polis, it is our time as Denver Public Schools, as DSST Public Schools, to make sure your voices are not just heard, but you have a seat at the table. Finally, our work is not over. Jennifer Bacon and I are working on to make sure that Native American history, Latinx history, and Black history are mandated graduation requirements. So we have a lot more work to do, y'all. So keep showing up, and this Saturday at 11 a.m. in Central Park, in the Central Park area, we're going to be having a mini Juneteenth to celebrate Stapleton, getting rid of Stapleton, one, and two, to celebrate all of the accomplishments we did this past month. So protest work, continue to use your voices, and thank you guys for continuing to be out here.
At this time, I'm going to have Shields of Faith from the Denver Park Hill Seventh-day Adventist Church play the Black National Anthem. I would like to introduce Walker Groves, Jason Carter, Myra Newley, and Michael Williams. So could you please stand for the Black National Anthem?
Here you go. I heard you. I didn't hear how many.
Alright, y'all can sit. Y'all can sit. Go ahead. Y'all can sit. Drink some water, hydrate, y'all. Y'all can sit. Snacks, so please come to the front if you would like them. Alright, we're good?
Do you mind if I take the box and just move it over?
Yeah. I'm sure they need some. This way. Can I get Pics? Yeah.
Alright. Thank you so much, Shields of Faith. We really appreciate your music. That was amazing. Now we have the student speakers. So now you can hear me, right? So I'm gonna need y'all to stay so that you can hear what we have to say. Revolution. A forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. This is a revolution. A written prophecy that was preparing itself amongst the people. A request for recognition. A request to recognize mental health and resources in communities of color. A request for consistent... Now what? I'm gonna start over because that was bad. That was bad. Revolution. A forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. This is a revolution. A written prophecy that was preparing itself among the people. A request for a system that works different to not incarcerate our black youth at alarming rates. A request to recognize mental health and resources in communities of color. A request for consistent violence against black people, whether it be policing, disproportionate arrest rates, microaggressions, cultural appropriation, to stop. And a request that the people, all people, become revolutionaries. The Haitian Revolution. The Civil Rights Movement, the call for abolition, the freedom of African countries against colonizing forces are what brings us here today. I am a revolutionary. Fred Hampton. Let me tell you how I became a revolutionary. I was born in Ethiopia, raised there until the age of 7, and brought here for a better education and a better quality of life. Up until I came to America, I lived in a black society where the implications of white supremacy bore themselves through the legacy of colonization. Yes, y'all, anti-blackness is global. My family fought to get the Italian side of Ethiopia. When I was in the 3rd grade, I'm a black person. My privilege in being African is the fact that I know my ancestral heritage. When I was in the 3rd grade, I came to school with an afro, and my mom did not braid my hair that day for the first time. My classmates giggled and chuckled, and my white teacher proceeded to pull out a ruler, comb her hands through my hair, and measure it. She told other kids to look and to touch and to feel. That was when the understanding dawned on me that I am black. Violence looks like a classmate messaging you hate comments with vulgar images of slavery and telling you, quote, we should separate schools like we separate our laundry from light and dark. And then when our school dean proceeds to do nothing, though he wouldn't stop texting you and emailing you for 6 months. Violence looks like a girl hitting me in Spanish class because I would not let her say the N-word. She was a teammate on my basketball team. A year later, when I told the coach that I felt unsafe with her being on my team, he said I needed to forgive her and not have hate in my heart for white people. He pulled up a diagram on race where he told me I hated white people too much and proceeded to tell me that if I couldn't forgive her, I could not be on the team because it was his job to, quote, educate her, because she matters more than my safety. Violence looks like when girls darker than me get hated on and compared to gorillas. It makes me remember my family telling me to straighten my hair and not play in the sun. Violence looks like hate speech against members of the LGBTQ community. And so a couple weeks ago when I turned on the TV and I saw the riots and the physical violence in Minneapolis and in the nation across, and then I saw the media say that violence was not the answer, I remembered the words of Angela Davis. When you talk about revolution, most people think violence, without realizing that the real content of any kind of revolutionary thrust lies in the principles and goals that you are striving for, not the way you reach them. We have gathered here today and chosen to be peaceful, chosen to pay respects to the martyrs of the past. So I may be the angry black girl, but I'd rather be angry than numb. I'd rather be angry than ignorant. You can compare me to Malcolm and call me radical. Simplify his theories on race and revolution by labeling him violent and compare me to that assumption. But at the end of the day, just like he said, I understand the price of freedom. We are not asking anymore. We are not begging you anymore. Whether you like it or not, we're gonna get justice by any means necessary. Watts riots, Baltimore riots, LA riots, Detroit riots, Stonewall riots. When you treat a group of people as if they don't matter and use them for their culture and endanger their bodies, what do you expect? Laughter? These explosions are a matter of your system, so fix it. Let's fix it. My people have never lacked agency or pride, and so we will get our freedom. We will stand in solidarity with all the issues because the key to this revolution is our intersectionality. I'll leave you with a quote by Huey Newton. Black power is giving power to the people who have not power to determine their destiny. Thank you. Next is my sister, Carmela. She'll also be giving a speech. And she's going to Howard University, y'all. So she's a graduate. So turn up for her. Here you go, babe. Alright. Let's give a hand to Salam. That was beautiful. Right now, we're speaking and protesting about police brutality. However, it's important to acknowledge that police brutality is not an isolated issue. It's a play within a larger system of oppression. And since we are protesting as a school, we wanted it to be directed towards how we have felt within our educational environment. All right. From my experience, the educational institutions that I've been a part of claim so proudly of being diverse and creating an integrated space in order to give equality in education. However, these institutions, usually owned by white people with white savior mindsets, employ staff that doesn't care for the mental health of their black students, while still expecting a round of applause for creating a diverse community. Unless the racism is addressed and eradicated in places you're looking to make diverse, you're simply bringing people of color into violent and unsafe spaces. Speaking of violence, bloodshed is not evidence slowly on physical notes. Let's talk about trauma or the microaggressions in classrooms. Let's talk about when you agreed to move cops from our schools. It should have been done a long time ago, but we're here now. And you might be proud of it, but I'm here to tell you it's not enough. I know you expect a round of applause and some snaps, but it's not enough. You have done a disservice to your black students. You don't do enough to ensure their safety. You don't fulfill their responsibilities their parents entrusted with, and that's an issue. Responsibility. For 7 years of my academic career, I've endured hearing about responsibility. So let's look into that. How about you take responsibility? How about you take responsibility over how you made your students of color feel? For a long time, I tried talking to adults in our schools about how unsafe the school was. I spent endless nights writing emails, planning meetings, creating clubs to be a part of a community that consistently made me feel undervalued and excluded. And now I have graduated. The resentment that takes place in my heart makes me feel as if I wasted my time, energy, and health doing things that you were supposed to do for me. The academic pressure paired with the neglect of students of color has become problematic for our mental health. Time and time again, I made myself the safe space for students of color that felt uncomfortable confiding in the adults within your walls of your school. Therefore, not only coping with my own trauma, but being the residential school therapist. Mind you, I'm not getting paid. Neither am I schooled or certified in the studies of psychology, psychiatry, or philosophy, or any other IEs that I require a college education. And after all this, what angers me the most is that I'm not going into the world with nostalgic memories of high school. But instead, I carry pain with hope and prayer that the worst is behind me. So I want you to take responsibility and accountability for that, without creating excuses or belittling my experiences. That will be your first step. For white educators, you have to want better for your students. And your students of color, well, and when your students of color let you know that there's a problem in the way that you're educating, do not be quick to defend yourself. There have been so many times where I've given feedback and the responses were defensive. But we came such a long way. Although that may be true, this response is simply stupid. Because you're saying it to comfort yourself. And while you're patting yourself on the back, students like me had the courage to give the feedback and are left feeling betrayed and hopeless. When your white students are being problematic in classrooms, it's your job to address it and make it safe for all students of color. Some time ago, I heard a quote by one of the most iconic authors and activists, James Baldwin. The paradox of education is precisely this, that as one begins to become conscious, one begins to examine the society in which he is being educated. And this stuck with me. As each year goes by, I started to identify with this more and more. Educators, you are working within a system that doesn't work for students of color. So when your students question your lessons or feel frustrated about the school, don't dismiss it. That is violent within itself, because they are well within their rights to be upset. Find a way to have honest and open conversations with your students. For administration, please understand that it's not only kids who go through racial battle fatigue. Your black teachers that you employ cannot be the only black people that you consult when they are not educating you or doing your job for you when it comes to black students. They are also fighting a battle within those walls. And the teacher's responsibility is to also make those environments safe for black teachers. Change the system that you are working within, because equity is not some fun time hobby that you get applause for. It's everyday work. It's not easy, but every student should feel welcome in your classroom. Lastly, for my black peers, I know the hardship that you are facing. I know the frustration of feeling like you have lost to your white peers for reasons that are out of your control. Whether that be a lack of opportunities, financial struggles, or reasons of mental health. It feels like many times we are left out of the loop watching white peers carry out privileges of not caring and the gift of living without consequences. Their everyday choices live within their comfortability, settling into their privilege and having willful ignorance, living with entitled demeanors. It is, to say the least, infuriating. But at times, I also find myself envious, because as much as I would like to feel at ease with life, we are obligated to follow the rules of code switching. Being appropriate looks different when we wear it. The environment that we're consistently placed in is toxic. Our schools want to use us for diversity photo ops and value us when we're certain kinds of black students at certain times. Otherwise, we're discarded and invisible. The workload that you have, on top of dealing with the BS of our parents and teachers, on top of having a social life outside of school, is hard. And we need to demand for more mental health resources, because currently there's not enough. When we move through the world fighting for change, it is important to take care of ourselves. Demand and expect the best for us and our peers. Make sure that we check upon each other. Because if we don't get each other, then we don't fight for what should be. We will step back. If we don't fight for each other, then they will step back into silence. And that is not an option. So I repeat, take care of yourselves and the best that you can. The best that you can, and take care of each other. And lastly, do not be scared to be radical in your beliefs. It should not be a problem for you to state your blackness and your identities boldly. Because like the legend Angela Davis stated, radical simply means grasping things at the root. And in order to reconstruct an absurd and abusive system, young black youth need to understand the root and have radical solutions.
I just want to really push you out. I know it's hot. Please drink water, and I really want to push you. This is what allyship looks like. Just because it's hot does not mean it's the time to leave, okay? So push yourself. These students are really hard on their speeches, so give them your space.
Give Carmela another round of applause. Next, we have Ahmed, who graduated from Mountain this year. He's going to Morehouse, another agency to turn up, and he was a big part of changing DSSC, what we now know as DSSC Montview. It was previously DSSC Stapleton, and he was a big part of changing that, so I welcome him to the stage.
On August 9th, 2014, they took Michael Brown. I was in the 7th grade. Say his name.
Michael Brown.
1 month later, Cameron Tillman, a 14-year-old, had been shot 4 times by the sheriff's deputy. He was a high school freshman with a 3.7 grade point average. He was alive for 45 minutes, but was offered no medical attention by the police. Say his name, Cameron Tillman. Cameron Tillman. 1 month later, they took Laquan McDonald, 17 years old. Laquan McDonald, say his name. 1 month later, another 12-year-old boy, who was the same age as me at that time, Tamir Rice, died playing in the park. Say his name. On April 4th, 2015, they put 5 bullets in the back of Walter Scott. Say his name.
Walter Scott.
On the 5th of July, 2016, they took Alton Sterling. Say his name.
Alton Sterling.
On July 6th, only 1 day later, after Alton Sterling's death, they took Philando Castile, who was reaching for his license. Say his name, Philando Castile.
Philando Castile.
On March 13th of this year, they took Breonna Taylor. And just last night, say her name.
Breonna Taylor.
And just last night, an 18-year-old black woman, Nakia Crawford, was murdered by a white man while sitting at a fucking red light in Akron, Ohio. These are modern lynchings, made to feed fear into our community once again. These are just a few thousands upon thousands of black people who died at the hands of the police. Just imagine, growing up as a black boy in middle school, just seeing this every day. We're traumatized daily. It has come to the point where black men have become an endangered species. I get anxiety every morning when I check my phone. I'm scared that it's going to be blank was killed by the police, blank was harmed, blank was in the home cooking food for her daughter, blank was jogging in the park. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if there was no one there to record George Floyd, if the world had not knew. But that is already our reality. We've been ignoring for these issues for far too long, and I'm not shying away from not one detail. That is because every day we live with this fear. That what if no one is there when I get pulled over? If the cop turns off his body cam, what will happen? Every name that I mentioned, not did one police officer face justice. Every name I said earlier. I'd like to have a moment of silence for those who didn't face justice. For the mothers weeping, asking God why. So for these next few seconds, please honor them. In 2001, there was an experiment where researchers would stress mother mice. After going through traumatic experiences, researchers found out that the offspring of the traumatized mothers exhibited both molecular and behavioral changes. These changes persisted up to 5 generations. The later generations of mice would have depressive-like behavior, as they would give up easily for just a simple drop of water. That is what's called generational trauma. A pain that the African American community knows far too well. From our great-grandparents to our grandparents to our moms and dads, they all have experienced pain and trauma from the racism we experience every day. I'm not saying this to make you sad, but to shine light on the issue we far ignored too long. Deaths have become hashtags that my generation consumes every day on social media. History does repeat itself. If the world paid attention to the colonization of Africa and imperialism, the Holocaust would not have happened. If the world has ignored Yemen as it does now, they are almost at the age of extinction. They're in poverty. We cannot let injustices be ignored and shelved every day. All we're asking is to not be ignored. But hope is real. Our ancestors would dream about our world today, cry about it, praying, hoping that one day their son, daughter, their grandchildren will be able to attend a school filled with diversity. 4 years ago, I wanted to go to a school that didn't honor a KKK member. We did that. We did that. Give yourself a round of applause, because we did that. A year ago, I almost didn't believe that we would change that name of that neighborhood. Guess what? We did that too. We did that too. Yes, sir. But to some, it's just a name. Stapleton has no meaning, has no connotation. It doesn't hurt them. Earlier this year, I remember attending this conference and talking about my peers' accomplishments, about what we were able to do. I'll never forget when a woman came to me in tears thanking me. I remember I was confused, puzzled on what did I do that made such an impact. I thought it was just a name change. But it wasn't until she told me how her grandfather used to be beaten brutally by folks in the Stapleton neighborhood who hated the fact that for a black family lived there. For some, a name is just a name. For others, it's a constant reminder about how our history ignores us. The Confederate statues that are being torn down, those symbols are not the symbols that represent our world no more, and we will not stand by that. Hope is real. I love my skin color. I love my people. I love my kings and idols who taught me how to be a man. And even more, I love my queens who taught me how to become an even better man. I've never been more proud to be black ever. When I look and I stand at this amazing group, I love being Sudanese. I wear that by my heart. So to all my brothers at school, if they say, take off your do-rag, nah, don't let them. Don't let them. That's part of your identity. That is your identity. To all my black women, if they say your hair is too curly, it's too kinky, straighten it. Don't let them. Don't let them. Show that. Show that out. We don't got shit but ourselves. Although we changed the name of our school, a lot more work needs to be done. The SST will always tell you about their diversity, but they won't say the truth on how they treat people of color. So I'll say it. Although we promote diversity, there is no inclusion. What is the point of having students of color where we can't even be represented by teachers of color? My entire high school career, I've seen the administration mistreat teachers of color, all my black teachers, which is why every African American teacher and dean that I had left. They had left because of their mistreatment. But DSST is still one of the best places to work out, but that is not true. If you are black, if you are Hispanic, if you are Native American, you are ignored. And I saw that, and I saw that impact that it had on my dean. My first black dean, his name was Mr. Toomer. I was in 9th grade, and he taught me how to be black, what it means to be a black man. And I saw how they mistreated him. DSST, less than 30 of DSST Mobview, 35% of our school is African American students. Yet over 70% of Refocus, and if you don't attend DSST, that's detention. 70% of our detention / Refocus was African American students. How does that make sense? DSST, you have failed your mission and only helped the school to prison pipeline. That is the truth. That is the truth. And the name is just the beginning. I'm telling y'all, that's just the beginning. That is why I'm demanding changes for racial equity in all our schools. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce Bisty real quick. She's a rising senior at CG. I'm pretty sure she started the BSA at her school, so give her a round of applause.
Thank you all for coming out today. We all came here to fight against racism, hate, and the lack of human rights. We should all have the rights to live as long as any white person and not have the color of our skin determine how long we live. Racism is defined as a system of public policies and institutional practices. Black people being mistreated is normalized because the same people that built the system are rising today and building the same system by using different words to manipulate the minds of the citizens. Black people are 5 times more likely to be in prison than a white American. They force us into neighborhoods that will be underfunded and take away our education. They kick us out of their neighborhoods so that no one can join their little neighborhood watch group to look out for black men to shoot because they look suspicious. We will never forget the way they handled Trayvon Martin. His killer still walks, and we are left to mourn the death of a beautiful black man. Trayvon Martin's weapon was his skin color. He died because of his skin color. We are sick and tired of the Karens that see black people smiling and happy as a threat. We breathe, we scare. We laugh, we scare. We walk, we scare. I am tired of having to always put on a smile to not intimidate. Black women are not angry because they are ghetto. They are angry because they are mistreated. We are the most hated amongst the community. We always have to put on a fake smile to make sure that nobody is scared of us and nobody will call the police. I don't want to put on a smile because some racist white lady is less afraid of me. I want to put on a smile for myself because I'm happy. I am tired of the white lady following me around the store because she's worried I'm going to steal. They tell us to just listen and not fight back. Look where we are right now. We're not fighting and they let us to get to this. I am tired. If it's not slavery, it's segregation. If it's not segregation, it's the police. These police officers are trained to protect the law and learn how to shoot down black men and memorize the laws in 4 weeks. Those are the same laws that these lawyers are learning for more than 2 years. Make that make sense. The silence has killed us long enough. We are tired. I refuse to stand by and watch our black fathers, our mothers, our daughters, and our sons be taken away by a system that was meant to protect and serve the system. But instead, they pick and choose the systems. They choose the citizens based on their skin color. As a white ally, as a non-black person, we ask you to use your privilege to stand by us because we are just as sick and tired as you are. My black is not a uniform that I can just take off. I was born black and would never take that back. Up next is Muhammad Magar, a 2020 graduate from DSSP College who will be attending CU Baldwin.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That was the biggest fucking lie ever. At 9 years old, my mom was already talking about the dangers of being a black boy in America. I remember the day she would talk to me that she feared the day that I'd get my driver's license. Not because I was a bad driver, but because the day I would be pulled over by the police, her oldest son would not return home. February 26, 2012, Trayvon Martin. November 22nd, 2014, Tamir Rice. August 9, 2014, Michael Brown. April 29, 2017, Jordan Edwards. November 2nd, 2013, Renisha McBride. November 23rd, 2012, Jordan Davis. August 30th, 2019, Elijah McClain. Ayanna Jones. May 16, 2010, 7 years old. And the list goes on. These are all the name of people that didn't even live to see 20. And I refuse to be the next name on this list. There are kids in our communities who fear leaving their homes because if they don't die to the hands of the streets, they'll die by the hands of the police. But the blood is on our government's hands because they have failed them time and time again because they rely on drugs and gangs for support because they have nowhere else to go. But the government says, we have given you enough, so sit down and be quiet. I refuse to be quiet, even if I have to put my life on the line because I have brothers and sisters and I cannot let them go through this. Because every day I fear leaving for college for 4 years when I know they're just little kids on their way to middle school, that one day somebody might pull up next to them and do something to them and I won't be there to protect them. So I will die for them. I will keep speaking until these changes that are necessary are made. When people look at me right now, they don't see an educated young black man on his way to the University of Boulder, on his way to get a degree in landscape and architecture. No, they don't see that. They see a kid that grew up in the ghetto and that's going to end up in jail sooner or later. But how can they see different? They call us thugs because our president's not afraid to get online and tell them to shoot those thugs because once the riot starts, the shooting starts. Our president locks families and innocent babies in jail and calls them rapists and criminals. when they're not even at the age to speak or talk yet. We are tired of dying. We are tired of hiding who we are just to get a minimum wage job that's not even guaranteed to pay our bills. I am tired of walking into every single interview and making my voice high-pitched so I don't sound threatening. I am tired of walking into every single interview and being asked if I have a criminal background, even though it wasn't written on the application. I am tired of having to fight for a job that won't even pay for my tuition. I am tired to seeing my mom work from 5 to fucking 7, 8 p.m. and not even make enough to put all her kids to school. Black women are being told that their curly hair is just not professional. So they're forced to live in a society where their skin color isn't seen as beautiful. Because the idea of beauty in our current society is straight hair, light skin, short skirt with high heels. Well, I tell all my women here, not just my black women, fuck that, wear what you want to. I'm here to tell you that ignorance in America is a bigger pandemic than COVID-19. Yet our schools have the cure for this. Yet they refuse to fix it. I've spoken on many DSST events, but I haven't seen much more people talking about me other than having a meeting about me wearing a do-rag to school, because they weren't afraid of the do-rag, they were afraid of the black person I was becoming. But I forgive my school for that, because they taught me a lot and they got me where I am right now. But I wish I didn't have to go through that. Because once I walked in the halls with my silky gray do-rag, every head turned around and said, look at that thug. But it's cool to be black until you are black. Then nobody want to show up for you. It's easy to say nigga, but when you're asked to come to a protest, you'd rather watch it online. So one day, I don't want to have to live in fear. I will speak so one day my little brother can go to the corner store and buy a bag of fucking Skittles without being targeted by some ignorant white motherfucker and get shot. So one day, I can wear my hoodie to Walmart without trying to act like I'm suspicious and have every single head turn around because they think I'm getting ready to steal something. So one day, I can buy me a beautiful house, get a nice ass car without having Karen call the fucking police. Because no, black people were meant to have nothing nice. So one day, little black children could go outside and play without being labeled as a threat from birth. So one day, I can live without having to fight for life. Now fuck that, I want to start not having to fight for life tomorrow. Now fuck that, I want to start living today. So I stand here before all of you to tell you one thing, that I used to be afraid of being black, but not no more. That I used to be scared to walking up and down these streets without getting shot, but not no more. Thank you. Next we have Chiming.
Let's give it up for these speakers already. We have 5 more speakers coming out here to speak, so please stay. Again, these students worked so hard to get all of this to happen, so their voices are so important, all right? So, let's give it up for Canada!
Hello, everyone. I would like to thank everyone for coming out today. My name is Kanani, and I'm a senior from DSST Manoir High School. I came to America 8 years ago from East Africa. I'm not going to say it was hard to get settled and adapt to the American environment, but it was more so helping my parents. Seeing them struggle to fit in frustrated me because I wanted them to have what a normal family would have in America. I wanted them to come to my games, for example, and say, let's go number 7, because I was an athlete.
but I knew they had better things to do than that, than being at my gate. I had recently come to the realization that it's not easy to come to a different country, work, and feed a family. So it's not my job to be frustrated, but be appreciative of all they do. When I moved here, I was more so focused on the mistreatment of Black people, because this wasn't an issue back in Africa. I was shocked to know that it has become a norm for us as Black people to be belittled in the U.S. Right now, we are living through a time of change that is perhaps considered a revolution. A time of change where as Black people, we fight a system that has been set up not to help us, but create a cycle. Hold on, sorry.
It's okay.
A system that has been set up not to help us, but create a cycle in which we are constantly let down. We are not here to discuss whether we should have this fight or not, because it's systematic that needs to be changed. I am here to speak on behalf of my Africans about the importance of our voice. This movement needs to inspire us in a way that makes us realize how much African Americans need us. As an immigrant African myself, it's apparent to me that our relationship with Africans isn't strong because of the misunderstanding between us, which causes hostility. But at the end of the day, we are Black. And there's no reason anyone should be fearful of their lives because of their skin color, because they think it's a threat. Especially after the kind of years African Americans all have had. No one should take this moment away from them. As Black people, we need to solidify ourselves as a whole and appreciate the different aspects of our beautiful cultures. And even though the deep hatred Black people get everywhere is generational and ingrained in our modern day society, it makes me happy to see young people coming together to break down barriers and try to make change where no one is left behind. Because at the end of the day, there's more than enough for all of us. So thank you to everyone who made it their duty to show solidarity to our African American brothers and sisters by supporting the Black Lives Movement. Right now, I would like to introduce Ayana Bukar from East High School. She's a rising junior. Thank you, guys. I wanted to talk to you guys a little about what allyship and more importantly what it means to be a good ally. Before I begin, there are a couple terms I want you guys to understand. White saviorism and white fragility. White saviorism or white savior complex refers to a white person providing help to a non-white person in a self-serving manner. For example, the girls you see on Instagram who go to Africa on vacation pose for a photo with them giving a little African boy or girl food or something, post it for likes, and then stay silent about issues like police brutality towards African Americans. The second thing is white fragility, and that refers to discomfort and defensiveness on the part of a white person when confronted by information about racial inequality and injustices. These are the people who always say, but why are we being blamed for something our ancestors did? In my opinion, that's the worst type of ignorance any white person can possess. Your first instinct should not be to play victim, but to admit your privilege. We understand that you yourself did not actively contribute to our racist system, but you benefit from it and you are held accountable for that privilege, and it's your responsibility to use that privilege for good. The color of your skin will always be a shield. The color of your skin will always be a shield that protects you from racial inequality and racism, and that's a privilege that Black people do not get. Let's talk about what it means to be an ally, what it looks like and what it doesn't look like. Being an ally means to not be tolerant of things that are clearly intolerable. Do not let your friend who thinks it's funny to make racist jokes get away with it. Second, confront your microaggressions and racial biases. When someone calls you out for something, your first response should not be to say, but I'm not a racist. Instead, admit your fault to listen and educate yourself because it's your job. In addition, we understand that although you are human and you do have problems, it does not compare to the issues of the Black community. Do not take away from the movement by saying, I struggle too. Next, please educate them. Have those conversations with your parents or friends or cousins who don't quite get it. And lastly, actively participate in bringing change, calling out these injustices and supporting the movement. Whether it's in the media, like signing petitions, posting petitions, or coming to these marches and standing with us. What being an ally doesn't look like is posting a black square and then ultimately deciding that you've had enough activism. This is not meant to attack anyone, but if you know that there is more you could be doing right now, then do it. In just a couple weeks, we've seen so much change happen, and it's our job to continue that change. We must defund the police, dismantle our racist system, and get justice for the countless lives lost to it. If anyone can do it, it's us. One last thing. Along with the already long list of deaths, there's one I want to bring your attention to. His name was Abdurrahman Salad. He was the son of 2 immigrants who do not speak English. He was shot 6 times by Columbus police. It's been months since his death, and still the officers who killed him have not been charged or even fired. He was just a troubled teenage boy who needed help. He did not need to be killed. His family feels voiceless, and it's our job to amplify it. So say his name, Abdurrahman Salad, and give him the justice he deserves.
Let's give her another round of applause, y'all. Alright, bear with us. We have 3 more speakers. Right now I'd like to introduce Paula and Natalie from DSST Byers. And actually, Paula graduated.
Hi guys, I'm losing my voice, so if you can't hear me, I'm sorry. But can you people in the back, can you hear me still? Great, okay. Thank you guys all so much for being here today, and I want to take a moment to address all the non-black people in the crowd. I wanted to share a little bit of why I'm here today. I'm here because for 400 years, America was wrong. Because the second the white man took a step on stolen ground, our history was destined to be wrong. I'm here because America is still wrong. I'm here because black people are being killed by the people instituted to protect us. By the way, the modern police system is a direct descendant of the slave patrol system, which spans into the early 1700s. So let's talk about systemic oppression. That's why I'm here. I need you to ask yourself why you're here. Did you spend longer making your sign than you did educating yourself on the centuries of injustices against the black community? Did you post a video of us chanting about defunding the police without actually knowing why we're demanding that? Are you going to post a picture of you holding your sign to Instagram? And more importantly, is that the only thing you're going to do? I need you to ask yourself why you are here. This is not a fucking art project. This is not an Instagram post. This is not a video on Snapchat that's going to disappear in 24 hours. Go home if that's all this is to you. This is life or death. This is every day until the killing stops. I'm going to tell you partly why you are here. You are here because our brothers and sisters are being unjustly killed based on the amount of melanin in their skin. You are here to listen to them. You are here to uplift their voices. You are here to educate yourself. You are not here to gain social capital. Yes, you are not here to be on the good side. Yes, you are not here for your own personal benefit. You are here because it is the right thing to do. Let's talk about the right thing to do. You have now talked the talk. You need to walk the walk. You have to call out your friends and family. White people, I know it's uncomfortable, but the days of accommodating to white comfort are over.
Yes, Natalie.
You have privilege. You have a choice. Choose wisely. And remember why you're here today. You have to commit yourself to this. Jump in feet first and get soaked. This movement is going nowhere. When the hashtag falls off the trending list, we are still going to be here. The police are not going to stop killing. You have to continue to call them out. You have to continue to demand justice. Raise your hand if you are 16 or older. Okay, damn. Okay. Put your hand down. No, keep them up. Don't put them down. I didn't say that. Put your hand down if you are registered to vote. To the people with your hand still up, you have your first action item. Go home and register to vote. It takes 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes. And to those of you who are 18 or older, you have a power which many of us envy. Please don't be an idiot. Remember why you're here today. Remember who is going to have to clean up your mess in 10, 20, 30 years. Remember what you're saying when you check or don't check that name. Your vote matters. Do not waste it. When we say we are allies, we have to mean it. We cannot be allies when it fits into your schedule. We cannot turn our allyship on and off. We fight until we have reform. Remember why you are here today. And also be hydrated. Bye.
Like they said, my name is Paula. I graduated from DSSC Byers, and I consider myself to be an ally. I'm very proud of it, so I appreciate you all for listening to me today, and I'm going to begin. So, born and raised in Puerto Rico, I grew up with diversity. We were all united with one idea, and that is pride not only for our island, but for our roots. My identity has been shaped by my ancestors, my indigenous Taino people, my African ancestors, and my European ancestors. Part of my everyday life, whether it be food, language, music, and overall culture, has been shaped by my African ancestors. To me, that means understanding and feeling closer to my identity as a Puerto Rican. I am an ally because I have learned and grown into Black culture. When I see Black communities being terrorized, it is essential that I speak out and be in support of Black voices. On behalf of the Latino community, we should and always be supportive of Black Lives Matter movement, because Black Lives Matter is about intersectionality. You cannot be truly empowered as a Latino without empowering Black people, because our communities and our culture are intersectional. I know that I have certain privileges that someone darker than me cannot obtain as freely as I can. Like Afro-Latino people who have had a difficult time being able to be part of Latino culture without the microaggressions and stereotypes. Our Latino communities haven't always been representative of Afro-Latino people, and that has been a downfall of our culture. We as a community should strive for a better allyship and representation of Black communities. Allyship and intersectionality is the power that we the people can create in order to obtain change. Thank you.
Okay, y'all, this is our last speaker. His name is Juan Hernandez. He's a rising senior at College View, so please stick in.
Hi, are y'all awake? All right. So, first of all, let me start off with a poem. A poem written by Luis Valdez. Okay. Like this?
Don't cup it.
Like that. Okay. Technical difficulties, sorry. Okay. So allow me to begin with a poem written by Luis Valdez titled Inactec, which in Nahuatl means you are the other me. Tú eres mi otro yo. You are my other me. Si te hago daño a ti, if I do harm to you, me hago daño a mí mismo. I do harm to myself. Si te amo y respeto, if I love and respect you, me amo y me respeto yo. I love and respect myself. I stand before you as an ally for the Black community. Now more than ever, we must come together and continue this fight that our ancestors and grandparents began. As a gay Latino from a low-income neighborhood, I am no stranger to the struggle of discrimination and oppression. I have seen family members and neighbors struggle with the systems in place that are not meant for them. I struggle, and I learned at a young age that this was our reality, but it shouldn't be. To our Black brothers and sisters, we've seen your struggle, we hear your struggle, and we emphasize your struggle. We stand in solidarity with you all.
As Latinos, we deal with discrimination, but we can also be guilty of it. There are examples within our culture where dark skin is seen as lesser and is even associated with villains or blue-collar positions in telenovelas. We have mocked dark skin with naming pastries, cartoons, and even card games. Chuleamos, we kill small children with white complexion, and more than we do our dark-skinned children. We follow the beauty standards that light skin is more beautiful because of all that is portrayed in our Spanish media. This internalized racism is so ingrained that we have normalized it. That's bullshit. This is where we as allies need to check our microaggressions and our own judgments. We need to be open and ready to change ourselves. It is our job as the future leaders of this community to first most listen. Listen to the leaders of this movement. Listen to the demands of our Black brothers and sisters. Be vulnerable and receptive to the needs of us. We must hold each other accountable to change the current narrative. We are here to help educate the older generations and have these uncomfortable conversations with our communities and our family units. We are here to show the younger generations that we have the power to create change. In the words of Asata Shakur, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Mi lucha es tu lucha. Black Lives Matter, y'all!
Hey y'all, we are teachers at Byers High School, and we just want to take a second to thank you all for showing up. I want to emphasize that allyship does not end here. Thank you for listening to our kids, but action is what's needed, and I'm speaking primarily to the white adults in this audience. It is your responsibility, as Carmela said, to take care of our students, to make the change that we need here. I want to give a moment for these kids to come up because these are our organizers. I want to emphasize this is a group of females that organize this event 100%.
Everyone stand and give them some noise. Let's go! All right, we have a wonderful celeb. We have Yasamia. We got a Sharon Campbell. We got Sally Sally. We got Noah. We got Noah. And Natalie! Let's get loud for that right here, right now! Let's also give another shout out for all the wonderful speakers who came out today, really telling them exactly how they feel in the school system, speaking for teachers, speaking for everyone. So let's give them a round of applause as well. Round of applause, Shira. Now let me get to it. Round of applause, Shira.
Okay, like, I'm not trying to be inappropriate, right? But if any of you see me walking and you see my shorts, you'll see that they're painted. Amy, right there. Amy, right there. She has a jacket that's also painted. That's all due to this beautiful, this is painted, and it's all by Black artists. So, and this Black artist is, support Black institutions, support Black institutions, support Black artists, support Black people, support Black everything.
Yes!
She was the one that comes.
Alright, y'all, I want to make sure you're still with me and you're not tired.
I say Black lives, you say matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. I say Black lives, you say matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Alright, give yourselves a round of applause. Basically, this story was anti-racism. Well, I'm just going to add on to that. I like to say thank you to all the organizers. Like I said, this is led by women, y'all. So please pick up after yourselves. We also, like Celeb mentioned, we have art. I like to also give a shout out to Shields of Faith. Give it up for Shields of Faith for coming. came out today, and please take action. This isn't it, y'all. This isn't it. All right, we're gonna do it one more time. I say Black lives, you say matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. I say Black lives, you say matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Thank you all.
They did wonderful. They did so good.
They're not cool. They're cool. They're better.
So all the youth would talk.
Awesome. Awesome.
They'll be ready.
Yeah, how do I get this? Can I email you?